Hi, this is John Rosen here, the Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, Pastor Toldos, is going to discuss psychological projection. In this week's Parsha, we have the incident where Esau comes back from the field after hunting and he's tired and hungry, and he asks Yaakov to give him some red lentil soup, as Rashi explains. But what's interesting is how the Pasuk describes this. The Pasuk says, Haliteni na min ha'adam ha'adam hazeh, ki ayef anochi, al ken karash shema Edom. And he says, give me some of this red stuff, because I'm tired. And therefore, and the Pasuk says, and therefore he is called Edom, Edom being red. And it seems to be at this point, we're being told that Esau, by his very nature, is red. There's a redness to his very nature. He's called Edom, relating to red. But the Kli Yakar points out and says, why now? Why, after this instance, do we say he's called Edom, relating to his reddish nature? As we know, he was born with a reddish complexion already, so perhaps from that point, we should say he's called Edom. But the Kli Yakar explains that it wasn't unusual for babies to be born with a reddish complexion, and then as they developed, the red complexion color would go away, and they would return to a more normal color. And that's what they thought perhaps that would be the case with Esau. But only now we see with this case of asking for the soup. If we look at what the Pasuk says, he says, Ha'adam ha'adam hazeh, this red stuff. He doesn't say, give me this soup, give me some lentil soup, give me this red lentil soup. He just focuses on the color, this red stuff. And that's what the Kli Yakar therefore says, that we see that Esau is not attracted to the soup for the soup itself, because of the nourishment, or because he wants this soup, but rather he's focusing only on the color. This is therefore a reflection of what he finds appealing. It's a projection of his very nature. He's only, what Esau sees is red. He sees redness. That is what he focuses on, and that's why it's appealing to him, because that is his very nature. And that's how projection works. What we see is a projection of our own internal personality, our own internal thoughts and feelings and emotions, perhaps which hasn't yet reached a conscious level of awareness. And therefore what we see based on this explanation of the Kli Yakar, it's working through the function of psychological projection. By the Pasuk saying that Esau did not ask for soup, he just asked for this red thing, is because he's projecting his very nature. His reddish nature was projected onto the soup. Because through psychological projection, in a way it's a defense mechanism, that a person has these desires or conflicts or feelings that they then project onto somebody else or to some object as well. And that's what Esau did, and that's why now the Pasuk says that because of this projection of Esau's reddish nature onto the soup, by just saying, give me this red stuff, we see by very nature he is Edom. Al ken karash shema Edom. And even today, projection, psychological projection, we understand it as a defense mechanism, but it's also used in projective testing, based on this understanding that it's a way of gaining an understanding or interpreting what a person's personality is, or their desires and their feelings, their subconscious feelings as well. And projective testing, such as the Rorschach ink block test, is used as a way of being able to interpret and gain an insight into a person's personality, because in this ink block testing, each person is presented with a picture of some ambiguous cue, some ambiguous picture of an ink blot, which can be interpreted in different ways. For one person it looks like a bird, for another person it looks like a bat, for one person it looks like something positive, so another person it might be negative. It's purely up to the person themselves, the subjective interpretation of the person, and how, in a sense, what it's saying is how they project their internal feelings and personality onto what they are looking at, and therefore we get an insight into their personality. And this is what we see based on the explanation of the Kli Yakar, how psychological projection was functioning in a sense when Esau asked for this red stuff. Have a great Shabbos, keep well.